Welcome back to the JCPod, partner with Stare Down Sports. Stare Down greatness, and man, oh man, is free agency going crazy in the NFL. Teams have money to spend, they're forced to spend it, and there's guys waiting to get a bag. So we got a lot, and I mean a lot of free agency news to get to. So that's pretty much going to be what today is. I mean, we're pretty much talking about NFL news today, but a lot of this NFL news is just going to be like talking about some of these contracts, and like I'll give like a quick little 20, 30-second thought on some of them. I might have some longer thoughts on others. There's some, won't even lie to you. Probably don't have an opinion. It'll be like, hey, way to get your money, man. But that's going to be doing it for today, or that's what we're going to do for today, I guess. And only going to do one episode this week. I have to house sit, so I will not be able to record. I'll be back next week to probably record Wednesday, Thursday, and then we'll be continuing our 2 a week every week. But this is just the last minute thing, kind of came up, offering the house sit for someone. So this is the only one for the week, but make sure to check out StareDownSports.com. I'm going to try to write an article out and get one on pretty much all the free agency news. It's not going to lie, it's a pretty long list I got, but we're slowly just going to start cranking those out. So over the next couple weeks, check out Stare Down Sports, and I'll have details out on all the free agency signings and everything, or at least majority of them. I'll admit there's probably a couple small ones that I'll keep on the low, but I guess let's just start with some of these news. Twitter, or X, is popping off. Shout out Aiden Rappaport. He is releasing a lot, so we'll just start with some of these. Geno Smith, he is the Jets are getting Geno Smith, and the Raiders are swapping 6th and 7th round picks. So I'm assuming the Raiders are getting the 6th pick, Jets are getting the 7th. But Geno Smith is now back on the Jets. Not gonna lie, kind of wild that that's the team he ends up going back to. No idea how that move is going to work out. They're in year 2 of the Aaron Glenn regime that truly could end up being blown up at the end of this year if it doesn't go well. But I mean, Geno Smith is probably better than Justin Fields, realistically, and I have no idea who their projected quarterback even was for the Jets at this point. So probably not a horrible move. We're just going to have to see. I mean, the offensive line was so bad for the Raiders last year. It's like, did Geno Smith really have a step down year? Which, obviously, I think that was partially it. But was it all Geno Smith, or can we put some blame on that really bad Raiders offensive line? Another big signing, Romeo Doubs, is going to the... they have the deal on. Here we go. Big payday for Romeo Doubs. He's going to the Patriots, and he signed a 4-year, $70 million deal. I didn't realize Romeo Doubs was going to get a payday like that. Shout out Romeo. Big old bag. And I'm not going to lie, there's some of these guys. Yesterday was crazy when it came to free agency. I think we had a lot of punters get signed, which was just another wild thing. We had, I think it was around like $3 billion given out yesterday. Could be off. It was over. I mean, it was a lot of money. A lot of money was given out yesterday to these NFL guys, and it's only this is officially day 2 now on Tuesday. Monday was day 1. I mean, we still got a ways to go, but yeah, let's continue on with the news. Like I said, we're gonna jump back some days, so this is probably like this is gonna be around like Thursday, Friday range. Some of this news. Falcons are releasing Darnell Mooney to clear up cap space. They signed him to the 3-year. $39 million deal in March, but I'm assuming that's more of like a 2-year deal where the 3rd year, they're saving $7.42 million. It seems like we're getting a lot more deals like that recently with some of these more veteran guys as well, especially like wide receivers, like Mike Evans. We'll talk about him. I guess we'll just kind of loop those together. Mike Evans, he signs with the 49ers on a 3-year deal. I think it's worth about $60 million. Sounds like the deal's more of like a 2-year deal worth around like $49-50 million, and then like that last year's kind of like a, hey, we'll figure it out when we get there year. A good chance they probably either cut him or what's the word I'm looking for? Revise. There we go. Revise the deal. It seems like what's like I said, a lot of these guys are having. So like I said, the Mooney signed a 3-year, $39 million in 2024. It's now 2026, 2 years. It does, but they do have $11 million in dead cap now for doing that, so maybe his was actually a full 3-year deal. So maybe a horrible example to use it for, but you get the idea. There's a lot of guys that are signing deals like that. The Bears are going to be trading DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills. The Bears will receive a 2026 second-round pick, and Buffalo gets DJ Moore in a 2025th round pick. Not a bad deal at all for the Bills, I think. I mean, they needed a wide receiver. A lot of people think it's a panic trade by the Bills. I mean, if it helps them win games, I mean, it's not. I will say giving up maybe a second rounder might be a bit. That could be a thing to kind of look at, like, interesting. And the only reason I I think the main reason, I guess, maybe it might not be the only reason, but I think the main reason that a lot of people kind of say the Bills kind of bone themselves in this deal is it sounds like the Bears were kind of out on DJ Moore to begin with for a while, so sounds like, I mean, so basically from what I understood, it sounds like they were going to get rid of him at the end of the year regardless, but it's either if it was going to be a trade, if they were going to have to release him. Like, it sounds like they were going to be moving on from him, but that pretty much just means Rome Odunze now he needs to step up for the Bears, and he's probably going to be their number one wide receiver. For the Bills, DJ Moore's probably going to be pretty good. He played with the Panthers when Joe Brady was there, but DJ Moore is basically always an extra piece in the trade, it sounded like, for the Bears. Like, they were like, and we want DJ Moore, something like that, and they were able to get him, and then now he's just either that or he was thrown. It was either like that or he's thrown in as a trade. Like, they're like, we need a little bit more, and then the Panthers threw in DJ Moore when they traded him to the Bears. But like I said, now that you look at it, he goes back to Joe Brady, who he played with. Bears basically get a benefit because DJ Moore is an extra piece for them, and now because of that, they get some draft compensation, which for a team that's looking to take another step forward in year two, that could be a massive pick, especially like I said, from all indications. Sounds like they were kind of out on him. So great move to be able to get something for him because unlike the Saints, it sounds like Cam Jordan's just going to hit free agency. Well, before we get to that, sorry, this just came out from Adam Schefter. Trent Williams and the 49ers have been discussing a new deal. They aren't shopping him, and he's not expected to be traded. That could change, but I don't think it's realistic right now. So it sounds like, according to Adam Schefter, as of right now, Trent Williams is going to be staying with the 49ers, which is big keep for them. The only thing that might be a bit concerning is Trent Williams finally had a year last year where you kind of look at it and be like, oh, is he losing a step? Because last year, I think, was the first year in a while where you kind of look, it's like, oh, he is not having the best of years. And it's still a good year by NFL standards, but for Trent Williams, the standard he put out there, first time he took a little bit of a step down this year. So you got to wonder if that's just going to be like a revised contract, money shuffled around. You got to wonder because they just paid Mike Evans and signed him. So obviously the 49ers are all in these next couple seasons. Yeah, it sounds like basically though Trent Williams is going to stay. It's just going to be a matter of how many years and for how much money. But going back to Cam Jordan, he's going to hit free agency. Feels like a huge loss for the Saints. He's 36 years old, but still, it feels like he's one of the core guys. He's the all-time leader in games played. Reason said he wasn't looking for top dollar in a new deal, wanted to be valued correctly. So it sounds like that he basically just is getting lowballed by the Saints, which really sucks because just similar to Mike Evans. It'd be awesome to see. Because it's very rare one-helmet guys. Would have been awesome to see him be a one-helmet guy. Would have been awesome to see Mike Evans be a one-helmet guy, one-logo guy. But, yeah, obviously it's not going to happen. I mean, somebody's going to want Cam Jordan. He's coming off a pretty decent season. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a good player. It's just going to be a matter of who's going to want. I think the age is the only thing that's going to hold a lot of teams off is the fact that he's 36 years old. The 49ers are hiring Matt Eberflus as a defensive assistant. You got to think that he'll work as an assistant, work for them for a little bit, and then he might end up being a defensive coordinator somewhere else. I mean, that just seems like what's been happening with the 49ers and their DCs or anybody on the defensive staff. They go over there, they're with the 49ers for a bit, and then boom, they get another job somewhere else as a defensive coordinator. Seattle Seahawks are signing Drake Thomas to a 2-year deal to bring him back, which is a good move for them because a lot of their guys have been leaving in free agency, not signing a lot of guys back. Rashid Shaheed, I do believe they signed him back. We'll talk about the number here in a minute once I scroll up and find it because I won't lie to you. There's so many numbers that I think it was like a 3-year, $50-something million deal, something like that, but we'll confirm it in a bit. Trent Brown is signing a 1-year extension with the Texans. I'm trying to see 11 NFL seasons, 30 years old, so you got to wonder if maybe he's taking it like 1 or 2 years at a time, or if it's just like the Texans situation where they're like, hey, we just want to see how it goes next year, and we'll figure it out from there. Colts ended up shopping Zaire Franklin, and then they traded him to the Packers for a defensive tackle. I think I'm pretty okay with this move. Zaire Franklin really had a step down last year. I mean, he's really good at tackling, but he even missed a decent amount of tackles last year that usually he had, but it's one of those things where you could see he was starting to take a step down a little bit. I mean, biggest thing is coverage, man. He is not the best of coverage linebackers either, and you got to think that the Colts are looking to get younger at that position anyway. And maybe this could be a situation where, hey, they bring in Jermaine Pratt. Jermaine Pratt isn't the... I mean, I would say Zaire Franklin, Jermaine Pratt were kind of similar, especially when it comes to the coverage and everything. So it's like, hey, we're going to keep one of you guys, but not two. Jermaine Pratt has been in the system. Zaire Franklin, you've been here for a while, but it's time to go. I'll admit, I think the biggest turnoff for me, this could have even been taken out of context. I don't believe it was, but when basically Zaire Franklin came out, and this was like, I think, 2-ish years ago at this point now. Well, it wasn't last season. I think it was the season before, but he basically came out and said, like, I want to play in a game under the bright lights where we're playing a bad team so I can, like, look really good and boost my stats. So, one of those things where it's like, I want to play on national TV against a bad team and look really good versus... And that's usually... It's like, okay. Kind of tells me where your mindset's at a little bit. Don't like hearing that, like said. And it was funny. I think he used the New York Giants as an example, and this was like week 4, week 5. And then that was the year where the Colts, I think, lost like 52-48 to the Giants. Their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, and it's like, huh. Kind of ironic that he said that at the beginning of the year, and then that is what ends up happening. But like I said, it wasn't always like that. I loved Zaire for a long time, but I will say at the end it started to get like, all right, dude. But it is what it is. I mean, the Colts went from 8-2 to absolutely just bottomed out and collapsed. So there's going to be some change. There's going to be some turnaround. The Steelers traded for Michael Pittman. That was another big one the Colts did. I'm hurt, man. That one hurts. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about the Alec Pierce news here in a minute. But, man, Colts are making some moves, and it's hurting my heart a little bit. Texans signed Danielle Hunter to a 1-year, $40 million deal. Sounds like it can be one of those things where it might just be taking a year at a time at this point, but we'll have to see. This is where we're going to start getting to a lot of free agents and a lot of money. The Rams signed Tyler Higbee to a 2-year, $8 million deal. Good to bring him back, especially because I forget which tight end it was, but I believe one of their tight ends ended up signing a deal somewhere else. I can't fully remember, I won't lie. Rams are re-signing Cam Curl to a 3-year deal worth $36 million, which was a really good deal. They made the trade for Trent McDuffie, which I believe we talked about last week. They re-signed Cam Curl. Darius Williams retired for them after a couple of seasons, or I believe it was 8 seasons total. So I don't know what they're going to do fully at that position, but they also traded for another one of the Chiefs cornerbacks. We'll talk. I think it was Jalen Watson on a 3-year deal too, but we'll talk about that in a minute when I get up to it. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There's gonna be a lot of jumping around because at this point there's multiple moves made, but like one move was made first, and a little bit later, and another team or the same team made another move, and yeah, you get the idea. Kind of combining some of them together, talking about one, then we'll bounce back to the other one if it relates to something else. Houston Texans are releasing Joe Mixon, and this comes after they traded for David Montgomery. It's starting to make you wonder. I think we talked about it a little bit on the air. If not, I'll touch on it briefly. How basically Joe Mixon sounds like that he had a foot injury happen to him. Went to an outside doctor, got surgery. The surgery didn't go right. So I don't know if I think he needed another surgery and got it done. And he didn't do this with the team doctors, and he did it outside of the facility. So there was a lot of... So if that is what went down, teams are really not okay with that. But the fact that they traded for David Montgomery, Woody Marks looked okay last year. Yeah, you got to wonder if Joe Mixon's football career is over or if he's able to make a comeback if there's a team who's interested in him. But missing a whole year is it's not good usually. I mean, it might not be horrible for a running back who has a lot of mileage like he does, but the longer you stay out of the game, the harder it is to come back. That's a thing, obviously. Ryan Kelly's going to retire after 10 seasons. I think he only spent 1 season with the Vikings, but he's coming off multiple concussions during 2025, and he dealt with that a little bit during the Colts, so it's not too shocking that after that now he's just going to hang it up. Shout out to him. Colts drafted him in 2016. He started every single game for them until he went to the Vikings first season, but yeah. Really, it just sucks because at the end of his Colts tenure, he became one of those players that making a lot of money, not playing the best. But overall, this sucks. Wish he could have won more in the Colts, but he got there just at the wrong time. He got there just as everything was about to fall apart. Dalton Schultz signed a 1-year deal worth $12 million with the Texans, so they extend him for another year. You got to wonder if that's a situation where if he's playing it year by year. He's only 29 years old, but you got to wonder if that's the thing where the Texans and him are playing it year by year, or if it was just a money situation where they're like, hey, we know you deserve that. Here's an extension. The Patriots are trading Garrett Bradbury to the Chicago Bears, so this takes him out of the question for Lindenbaum, who we'll talk about in a minute, end up signing to another team, but I thought there's a chance he might end up there. But since Drew Dahlman announced his retirement, this is just the next move that made sense. It reunites him with his college teammate, at NC State, at Joe Tooney. They were also roommates in trouble for away games, which is honestly pretty cool. But he signed with the Patriots last year, 2-year deal. He started all 17 games for the Patriots. Sounds like they just want to make an upgrade at center potentially. And they received a 2027 fifth-round pick in exchange. I can't believe we didn't talk about this sooner, but Max Crosby ended up getting traded to the Ravens, which was a wild move that ended up happening over the weekend. You heard the rumors and everything, but there's a little bit of wondering there, I feel like, where it's like, is he actually going to be gone? Like, is he actually leaving, or is this just he's getting loud and he's upset? But it really sounds like that what happened at the end of last year when they basically told him, like, hey, you're sitting. We're going to sit you for these last 2 games so we can tank. He's like, I'm a football player. I play games. Sounds like there was a lot of rift that started from that, and it was one of those things where it's like probably a mix of what happened all those years of them just sucking in general, and then that happens, he's just like, all right, we're done. I would like out of here. 2026, 2027 first rounders. I think that's the first time ever in the history of the Ravens they've traded 2 first-round picks for a guy, and they've really, really buffed up their defense. Let's try this again. They really buffed up their defense, which is... It's a big concern going last year. After last year, they had one of the worst defenses, which is not a thing that the Baltimore Ravens do. But it's just wild to think the Raiders actually did end up trading Max Crosby. But they're in the full-on rebuild now, and it's going to be the new Fernando Mendoza era. Offensively, it seems like they're doing pretty decent with some of the players they got. But, boy, do they really need some defenders. So they're going to really have to nail it in the draft or nail it in free agency. The Dallas Cowboys have placed a $5.7 million second-round tender on Brandon Aubrey. They're still looking to get a deal, but they're just doing this for the meantime. Eagles signed Jordan Davis to a 3-year extension worth about $78 million. Apparently, there's some rumors that they're kind of wanting to get rid of Jalen Carter as well after signing Jordan Davis this deal, but we'll have to see. They already lost Jalen Phillips, and they lost some other guys. So, Colby Wooden is the guy who the Colts are getting back from the Packers for Zaire Franklin. It's one of those things where you're like, man, that's it? So that was my first thing. It's like, man, only a defensive tackle? I mean, he just, I guess it was kind of eye-opening to me. It's like, oh, so that kind of goes in line with kind of how I thought Zaire Franklin wasn't coming off the best of seasons, and it seems like some other NFL teams thought that as well. The Chargers are keeping Max Crosby. They're keeping Khalil Mack on a 1-year deal. It's 1 year worth $18 million, fully guaranteed. So Mack's definitely a guy who's playing a year by year at this point. So cool to see him end up going back to where he's been for the last couple of years, because there was some interest, I guess, in him going elsewhere. James Conner agreed to a revised deal, and he is staying with the Arizona Cardinals. Let's see. He only played 3 games last year after undergoing season-ending ankle surgery. They also signed somebody else. Kenneth Gainwell, I believe. No. Tyler Algier, that's who it is. Cardinals also signed Tyler Algier, so that's going to be a pretty nasty running back room. The Packers and Sean Ryan have agreed to a 3-year, $33 million extension. Find the McDuffie deal. Rams inked McDuffie to a record 4-year, $124 million extension. Gives him $100 million guaranteed. 31 per year. Shattered Colts Sauce Gardner's record by $900,000. He was at $30.01 million, so it shatters a very interesting term to use there, but I won't diss the article right it too much. The Bills, they trade Taron Johnson to the Raiders. The Raiders are sending a 6th-round pick to the Bills for a 7th-round selection in Taron Johnson, who is very interesting. He got a lot of compliments from Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show, and then literally like a day later announced that he was getting traded. So it's like, oh, that's interesting. The Dolphins are releasing Tua. Sounds like he's going to end up going to the Falcons, so it sounds like it's going to be... You want to talk about glass bones. You got Michael Penix and Tua Tagovailoa in the same quarterback room. That's just, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want to diss the Falcons too much because it could end up working out, but I'm not a fan of that quarterback room. I'm not going to lie to you. Not a big fan. Minka Fitzpatrick got traded to the Jets, and he signed a 3-year extension after he got traded. It's a 3-year, $40 million extension. The Dolphins received a 2026 7th-round pick. That feels a little bit low. You think they'd be able to get a little bit more. Cowboys are getting Rashawn Gary from the Packers. They're finalizing a trade, which will go when the new year. So all this is going to happen pretty much on, like, this is the early tampering period, basically, these next 2 days. So I think it's like 2 or 3 o'clock, whatever it is, on Wednesday, which is the 11th. Whenever that time hits on the 11th, all these moves become official, and you'll see all the actual transactions happen. Right now, this is considered, like I said, just tampering period. So these are all moves that are, like, going to happen, but it's just basically getting announced a little bit earlier. So basically, like I said, when that happens, the Cowboys are trading a 4th-round pick in 2027 to the Packers, and the Packers are trading Rashawn Gary to... The Packers will get a 4th-round pick in 2027, and Cowboys get Rashawn Gary. Colts are signing Alec Pierce to a 4-year, $116 million deal. Really happy they were able to keep him, but the move that was countermade to this, because they kept Alec Pierce, meant they have to get rid of Michael Pittman, who they traded to the Steelers. Hurts my heart, man, to see Michael Pittman go, but Alec Pierce is coming off a career year. I think I like it. I thought he was going to be gone. All indications, I thought were like, oh, he's like gone, based on how everything was sounding. And then he comes out and basically said that, yeah, he probably wasn't going to end up going anywhere, really, which makes you think that, all right, the Colts are probably keeping Daniel Jones in, because that was one of the main reasons Alec Pierce wanted to stay. And, I mean, the Colts were 8-2 last year, and he said he felt like they were a really good team, and they just got very, very unlucky. So, I'm happy they are keeping him, but he is the highest paid wide receiver now in free agent history for the time being, obviously, until the next wide receiver breaks it. But he basically becomes wide receiver 1. It's him, Josh Downs, and Tyler Warren are the 3 big wide receivers. Like I said, it's just... It makes sense why the Colts got rid of Pittman. It just hurts my heart a little bit. By a little bit, I mean a lot. Really, really hurts my heart. This was insane. The Chiefs got Kenneth Walker from the Seahawks. They signed, well, he was a free agent, obviously, but they signed him to a 3-year deal worth $45 million. The contract includes base salary $14.35 per year, $28 million fully guaranteed. I just can't believe that. I just can't believe they actually, like, he's on the Chiefs. Which that pretty much goes to tell you that Jeremiah Love's probably not making it to 9. So if we're going to bet on Jeremiah Love, I might bet him to be tops 8 at this point. Or like, I don't know. It'll be interesting. But, yeah, obviously the Chiefs felt like they might not have a chance to draft him. So they signed Kenneth Walker to this big deal. I mean, he's going to be really good for them. He is going to be really, really good for them. And, of course, the Chiefs get a player like this. He's going to be good for them. It's just going to be a matter of... do they also add more to the position? Because Isaiah Pacheco ended up signing with the Lions, so that's going to be interesting to see who the backup's going to be to Kenneth at this point. Because there's a crazy stat going around. I didn't realize this. Apparently, for the last 3 years in you take all the rushing yards for the last 3 seasons, Patrick Mahomes lead the Chiefs. He's their leading rusher last year. Like that's, you hear stuff like that, it's like, oh shit, yeah, they need a running back, man. That's not good. And Kenneth Walker is going to be, if he can stay healthy, which he managed to last year, and he got carries taken from him last year, so that should hopefully keep the legs a little bit fresher. That's going to be a really good move for the Chiefs. Jalen Phillips signed a 4-year extension with the Panthers. And something I want to bring up, it is May 10th. It's March 10th. And I think we have our first future we're going to be taking in the NFL. Let's talk about it. This is purely for odds and everything, but I think I like the Carolina Panthers at plus 440 to win their division. The signing of Jalen Phillips is a part of that too. They've made really, really good moves the last 2 years. I believe they have the Chiefs cap guy. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Peter Schrager said he's on the Panthers. For the guy who helped build the Super Bowls and everything, he's been on the Panthers the last 2 years, so they've made some really good free agency moves. This just feels like a team who's going to take another step forward next year. So, plus 440, I really like the value on that. I'm at least going to throw like $30, $40 on this. I'm not talking full $100 unit or anything, but I'm at least going to sprinkle 30 or 40 on it because I really like those odds. And like I said, this is also partially coming out to the Jalen Phillips deal. He was the Eagles' best pass rusher last year. $80 million guaranteed for Jalen Phillips. Man, Panthers are, all of a sudden it's like, hey, the Panthers are going to be a pretty good football team next year. They were a good football team this year. And like I said, they gave the Rams a run for their money, who basically came down to them or the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. So for them to win the division, you're looking at the Bucs, who might be taking a step back a little bit. Falcons, I get why they're second, but I also don't get why they're second to win the division. Saints are ahead of them, and then you got the Panthers, so like I said, I like the Panthers at plus 440. The Rams are signing, it was Jalen Watson. It was a 3-year, $51 million deal. Pulled that out of my ass. I can't believe I remember that one. Like I said, they're basically taking the Chiefs secondary at this point because they got Jalen Watson. They got Trent McDuffie. They re-signed Cam Curl, though, so he wasn't a Chief. But the biggest weakness with the I about said three different teams. With the Los Angeles Rams last year was their defensive backs. And they played like, it's not, you can see from the film, they played a lot of zone. They really like to play zone. And then in the playoffs, that's where Sam Darnold kind of ripped them apart. So they're getting some more corners to bolster up that position and buff it up, make it look a little bit nicer. Steelers gave Michael Pittman also a 3-year, $59 million extension. So he basically is on the same timeline as DK Metcalf now. I'm so sad. He spent 6 seasons with the Colts, Michael Pittman did. I mean, he's a really good player for them now. And Colts don't have a lot in the wide receiver room, but for the Steelers, that was a massive trade. Steelers also picked up Rico Dowdle. We'll talk about his numbers once I get to that part of the article. But, yeah, this was a good move for the Steelers now have DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman. Like, they have some, it's starting to, because it's been years since you could say, like, all right, the Steelers have some weapons on offense. Now it looks like, all right, they look like a competent offense because there's years they're just rolling out guys at wide receivers. It's like George Pickens and whoever they could pick up off the street in wide receiver. It's like they could really use some guys, and it's nice to see they're kind of going all in what is probably the last like official run, and then after this year they probably get a, because I'm assuming Aaron Rodgers is coming back. That's my full assumption. Aaron Rodgers comes back for one more ride, and then next year the Steelers draft a quarterback somewhere in the middle of the first or the early second. Malik Willis on a 3-year, $67.5 million deal with the Dolphins. I think a lot of people thought he was going to end up there, especially once a lot of the Packers staff ended up over there, like Halfley as the head coach, and then the GM as well. Tyler Lindenbaum signed a 3-year, $81 million deal with the Raiders. He becomes the highest-paid interior offensive line in NFL history now. Kenneth Gainwell, Alec Anzalone, they're now Buccaneers players. Kate Otten re-signed a deal to stay there as well. All this happened, and then my immediate thought was like, okay, so Mike Evans is probably gone. But then there was a little bit, it's like, no, maybe they're just trying to make sure they keep all their guys, get a little bit of add-ons, and then they'll sign Mike Evans. He ended up at the 49ers after that. So it was like, okay, so my first thought was right. That after all that, he ends up being gone. Travis Etienne signs a 4-year, $52 million deal to join the Saints, which is really good. And then also, massive pickup. They also stole David Edwards from the Bills, signing him to a 4-year, $61 million deal. A lot of people thought that the Saints had the Bills had one of the better offensive line, if not the number one offensive line in the league, so stealing one of their offensive linemen. Massive move there. And then another team, similar to how the Giants now are stealing a lot of the Ravens players and staff. You're seeing a lot of the Giants now follow Dayball to Tennessee. Wandale Robinson signed a 4-year, $78 million deal to join them. Isaiah Likely falls Harbaugh to the Giants on a 3-year, $40 million deal. Bengals got a little bit of help on defense. They signed Boye Mafe, and they also had a Brian Cook from the Chiefs. So the Chiefs basically just got their whole secondary plucked, but they seem to be a team that's able to figure it out, especially with Steve Spagnuolo, where they can just get young in that position, throw some guys in there, and they're able to figure it out pretty quickly. Jalen Thompson is joining the Cowboys on a 3-year deal worth $36 million. Commander gives Odafe. So I don't know if it's Odafe or Odafe. I heard both at this point, so I'm just going to stick with Odafe Owe, but could be wrong about that, not 100% sure. He signed a 4-year, $100 million deal to join the Commanders. That is a massive deal for him. $68 million guaranteed. It's his third team in less than a year, which is crazy. He began 2025 with the Ravens, and they traded him to the Chargers in October. And now he signs a deal to go to the Commanders. What a ride for him, man. 3 cities in a year is pretty crazy. The Eagles, Ravens, and Steelers were given 4 of the NFL's 33 compensatory. Let me try that again. Compensatory picks. Whew. That was tough. So the Vikings, Eagles, Steelers, and Jaguars via Lions, they got 3. That's the round. Those are teams. So round 3, those are the teams. Round 4, 49ers, Raiders, Steelers, Saints, Eagles, 49ers, Jets. I'm not going to read every single round, but I honestly thought they were going to give it out with the teams, but seems like they didn't. The San Francisco 49ers got 3 picks all in the 4th round. Dallas, Denver, Indianapolis, Las Vegas, Rams, and the Jets each got 2 picks. And shout out to the Ravens. Apparently they've received since 1994, or is it 99 when this started? I already lost it. But apparently since whenever this started, it is either 1994. The Ravens lead the league with 64 compensatory picks. Travis Kelce's returning for a 14th season. He is going to obviously stay and play for the Chiefs again. Now, is this his final year? We'll have to see. But you got to think that if this isn't the final one, he's definitely on I would say the last. I can see him maybe playing this year, next year, maybe following season. But I would think that if he's not done this year, next year is probably the year where he's thinking about being done. The Raiders signed Nakobe Dean to a 3-year, $36 million deal. They also signed Quay Walker on a 3-year, $40 million deal. So Raiders starting to boister up a little bit, but we're going to have to pump those brakes a little bit because, boy, were they ass last year. Rashid Shaheed, 3-year, $51 million deal to stay with the Seahawks. Good move to keep him. He was really, really big for them. Rico Dowdle. So Jalen Warden, Rico Dowdle are your new running backs for the Steelers. Immediately I text my buddy who's a Steelers fan. It's like, all right, so you guys are never playing Caleb Johnson again, huh? Still crazy they made him go back there and try to return kicks, and then all of a sudden, hey, guess what? A guy hasn't really I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure he didn't return kicks too much. And at Iowa, he was not catching the ball in the backfield a lot. So then he fell to the position. It seemed like he didn't play a lot, and then they just didn't see him the rest of the year. Now they signed Rico Dowdle. You got to think that he's probably, unless they have him on the Blake Corum plan, where he sits for like 2 years, basically. Then he starts to get worked in and starts getting more touches, but that's being a little optimistic. Alvin Kamara, after the Saints signed Travis Etienne, all eyes are kind of on him and what's going to happen with his situation. Panthers agreed to a 3-year, $45 million contract with Devin Lloyd. The Bills and Dawson Knox agreed to a 3-year deal. It is, I don't think they announced the money yet, so they just announced they agreed to a 3-year deal. No money really announced yet. Texans signing Braden Smith to a 2-year, $20 million deal. He's been with the Colts for his entire 8-year career up to this point, so not gonna lie, it kind of hurts to see him leave, but he's another one of those players for the Colts that, like, he wasn't a bad offensive line, but definitely towards the end, I think a lot of fans are kind of like, he's not playing like he should, but he's not horrible. He's not horrible, but he did step down a little bit from what he was. We talked about Pacheco joining the Lions. No money's been really announced for that just yet, but they got their new combo, but still, Jahmyr Gibbs kind of took over at the end of the season last year, so you got to think that's his backfield with Isaiah Pacheco coming in just to be a tag team partner. But I think that's going to do it. Let's double-check Ian Rappaport's Twitter real quick just to make sure there's no other move. The Colts have made so this is from sources. Apparently the Colts have not finalized anything yet, but they're making progress on a long-term deal with Daniel Jones. So if I had to guess, he asked for 50, they said 30. It's going to be around 40, 45. They're going to go somewhere in the middle, if I had to guess. Shocker, Jaguars are not interested in trading Brian Thomas. That makes a lot of sense. You would think that they want to keep him around, especially because he's important. Fallback option, apparently, for the Steelers is Kirk Cousins if the Aaron Rodgers thing doesn't come through. But like I said, I'm thinking that Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be a Steeler. Sorry, I don't know why they took me. I was trying to find Ian Rappaport's thing, and mine just went full on brain dead. But yeah, I think that's basically going to do it for the news. Yeah, Isaiah Simmons is signing with the Panthers. Decent move for them. Jets are getting the number 228th pick in Geno Smith. The Raiders get 208. Yeah, I think that does it for the news. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for support. Really do appreciate it. Like I said, I'll be back in this feed on probably next Wednesday, and then we'll do a Wednesday, Thursday show. If not, it'll be a Tuesday, Wednesday show. Yeah, but it's going to be some fun. We got more free agency news going to pop up. Like I said, please check out StayDownSports.com. I'll have all the news that I can up there over the next couple weeks, and we'll try to get out all these articles on all this free agency news before we head to the NFL draft, and then dead period. 184 days until the NFL season kicks off, but hey, at least we get a bracket on Sunday. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see everyone back in this feed on, I would just assume Wednesday, but maybe I'll surprise you and end up here Tuesday.